Good morning, Kevin. I actually have no idea why I just typed all that instead of just saying it. Okay, so maybe I'm not all the way awake. Yeah, that's pretty much why I woke up, but most of the time I can't go back to sleep, so here I am. Hi, Jen. Yeah, that's what I said. Oh my god, I'm awake. It was followed with, what the fuck, why can't I go back to sleep? Well, my microphone is picking up like every little tiny sound. It's really weird. Which one, Jen? I was watching Kitchen Nightmares last night. Yeah, Kevin, that sucks. And the brain won't shut down enough for you to sleep. It's always possible, Jen. If he didn't get up and stay up during one of his bathroom runs, he usually gets up, I think, about 4:30. So he might pop in. And then he does his morning show at 6:30 in the morning. Joe and Renee's estate buyout. Oh, cool. I wish I could do stuff like that. Because I can't do storage units because I don't have anybody to help me get rid of all the junk or haul things away. And I don't have a vehicle. So kind of cuts that out. But I wish I could go thrifting and yard sales. And, well, I might be able to yard sales eventually if I can get another vehicle. I used to love to go yard sales. That, and in my town, the rich people in the rich section tend to change out their decor seasonally. And Kevin, Larry does. Larry goes on at 6:30 in the morning now. He has like a pre-show for Katina and Martin. He calls it a pre-show for Christina and Martin show at 7. And then, of course, Victoria's. So he's been going on at 6:30 in the morning. And surprisingly, a lot of people show up. Got a lot of early birds on YouTube. And the people overseas, of course, which have different time zones than us. Yeah, yard sales are fun. Yeah, that Larry guy, the guy with the mustache. This is the first time I've ever opened a live with just me. That's why it's just my bear. So you guys can't see the panic look on my face if I have nothing to say. Why not, Kevin? Kevin be hanging out in the crypto crowd these days. Yeah, John and I got a lot of nice things because in the rich neighborhoods when they change out the decor, I I guess they just don't care that they spent thousands and thousands of dollars on decor from the season before, but they just bring stuff out and put it on the curb. Yeah, we priced a few of the things that we were able to pick up in their neighborhoods, and for really poor people, we had some really expensive shit in our house. And yes, we knocked on their door first to make sure that they were just throwing it away, and they were like, "I take it if you want it." We were like, "Hell yeah!" So it was pretty cool. Scavengers love those neighborhoods. Oh, good news! The scavengers down the street apparently cleaned up their yard. I don't know if they moved and a trailer pulled up and whoever bought the place or whatever hauled everything away, but you can actually see the side of their house now. It's not piled up with crap. Yeah, nowadays you could put the stuff on Facebook Marketplace and get a go. I tell you, I wouldn't have to worry about money then because, I mean, they're putting couches out there that are worth like over $9,000. Yes, Kevin, it's 4:09 a.m. in South Carolina, Eastern. Weather was decent yesterday. I was tempted to get in the wheelchair and go out to the doorway, enjoy some refreshing air instead of sitting in my room. But I overdid it with my knee the past few days, so I decided to let my knee rest for a day. Ugh, cat. I muted myself so you guys wouldn't have to listen to the Tylenol shaking around in the bottle, and I started talking while I was muted. Brilliant. OfferUp is a hotspot now. Finally, I've never checked up OfferUp. I'll have to look at them. No wonder you're always busy so early in the morning, Jen. I wake up randomly. I think I got to sleep about 9:30, 10 o'clock last night. I was so tired. My son made shrimp Alfredo with bacon bits, and it was so good. And I hadn't eaten all day, so I had nice warm food in my tummy, and I went into food coma. Hi, Joyce. And I actually slept until 3, so that was a good bit of sleep for me. Unusual. Good morning, Joyce. Yeah, usually I do my lives with Tina and Willow, but I know for a fact Tina is sleeping. I never know what Willow's doing because Willow's sleep schedule is odd, but same with mine. How am I doing? How am I doing? I'm not really awake enough to know yet. But so far, so good. How are you, Joyce? How's everybody? Hopefully. Well, I know Kevin's having a problem sleeping, but good morning, Sylvia. Or hello, good afternoon, good morning. Good day to you. 10 in the morning? Yeah. Well, then it's still morning. Good morning. That's actually my heater, Kevin. I don't know why the mic is picking up like that, but it's the vent for my heat. And I won't hold it against you if you pass out, Kevin. It's fine. $10:15 in the Netherlands. Oh, that's right. You're in the Netherlands. Okay, cool. I don't go to too many auctions. It frustrates me when I see stuff that I want and I can't buy it because I have no money. And I tend to accidentally disrupt chat, and I don't want to do that because it interferes with their business. Because I'm not a reseller, so 9 times out of 10, I'm not really paying attention to what they're selling. I'm just there to talk to people because I have nobody to talk to. It's a very sad life, but I tend to cause chaos wherever I go, and I don't want people getting mad at me. I pop in with you, I say hi to everybody and listen for a little while and chit chat a bit, and then I leave before I cause too much of a disruption. Oh, your company, you get to go to auctions for your company? That's pretty cool. Yeah, Sylvia, it does stink that shipping overseas is so expensive. Now, do you guys have a program like if you were to ship something out, do Does the Netherlands have a program like we have Pirate Ship, which gives like a discount shipping? I think the UK has Hermes, and that's kind of like our pirate ship. Oh, Jen, I know, right? Jen, sometimes I sit there and go, damn, if they have that much money to spend on stuff, why do they need to resell in the first place? But, I mean, that's how they maintain it, I guess, you know? Sylvia, there isn't any people in the Netherlands that do auctions that you could like buy more locally, like in your own country, that it would be cheaper to ship. I know we kept telling Fluffy to try and find people in the UK because then there wouldn't be as much of an issue with shipping and it wouldn't be so expensive. But okay, well, cool. It's good that they have that there. I think they probably have like this kind of shipping everywhere. You know, I hope it would. I know that the jewelry site that I moderate their page on Facebook, their group on Facebook, they ship to, I mean, all different kind of countries. And the big thing with other countries too, some of them you have to pay the customs. So they're paying for the item, they're paying extra for shipping to get it there, and then they have to pay customs, and sometimes those custom charges can be huge. Jen, I agree. What do they do with all of it? Oh, Sylvia, I gotcha. Yeah, the legalities, hell, half the people don't know if it's legal here or not. I don't think they figured that out because it's online there. Haven't really done too many regulations with that yet, but they will because everybody wants their pennies, you know? So, I mean, some of them, in some states now, it's illegal to do an auction online if your auctioneer does not have an auctioneer's license, unless they're from a different state. It's very complicated. Well, that's good. You can buy up until 150 pounds and don't have to pay customs. Well, that's good. A lot. I don't know what. I don't know what other countries if they have limitations. I've never even heard of that. That you can buy, you know, up to a certain amount. Because I know Beaducation, they some of the group members. I mean, we've got people in Australia and Africa and all over the place, and their customs are crazy. In Canada, customs are crazy. So they usually wait, like they put all the stuff that they want in their cart for like over the period of a month, unless there's a big sale. But if there's no sales, they just keep putting things in their cart and then they buy it all at once. So they just have one package. That way they're not paying multiple. Okay, go change your headset. We'll wait. Do, 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 do. Wow, I can see the little vibration around my bear with the heater sound. That's weird. I don't think that's ever done that before. My heater does sound very loud, though. Welcome back, Sylvia. Yeah, when I start getting back in the swing of things and back to making my jewelry and selling it, I kind of have to do auctions, at least at first, because like I don't know, I have a problem pricing my own work because I don't want to price it too high and seem pretentious, and I don't want to price it too low and screw myself. So I figure with auctions, people will pay up until the point where they are like, okay, that's not worth it that anymore, and sold. You know what I mean? But yeah, my son's ear is feeling better, so we should be able to get finish getting that room cleared out and start getting my stuff in there. My craft room. So excited. A year and a half ago, I didn't know anything about stuff that was on YouTube. Today is actually my 1-year anniversary of creating a channel. I didn't have any content. I just created it so I could go into the chats and make comments on videos. And but today is my 1-year anniversary. Understandable, Sylvia. Yeah, Jen. Well, I mean, that was the option, that you can't get out. You can't, like, do flea markets or booths, or people's stores were getting shut down. So, we're humans. We adapt to our situations. Most of us, anyway. Although I did get a kick out of a lot of YouTubers when they started doing auctions. They were like, well, we actually started doing auctions before everybody else. No, we were the first ones to do auctions. Who the fuck cares who did it first? It's like, just do your auction and enjoy yourself and make some money, Pick good moderators and you'll be fine. Now, I turn everybody blue because of trolls and things like that. But with auctions, you gotta know who your moderators are, and the moderators have to keep control of the chats because like people like me come in and just make things all crazy, and the moderators have to go, okay, can we cut the chatter or whatever? And I respect that. I could totally listen to that when they do that, because I do get out of control. I type like I talk. And I can type up to 200 words a minute, so that could get very, very crazy. And I don't want to do that because it is their living. Most of the people that do auctions, that's their income. So I don't want to interfere with someone's ability to make money and support their family. That would make me an asshole, and I'm not an asshole most of the time. I have my moment. I know, Jen, but if I was doing an auction, okay, and people were coming into the chat and distracting everybody so that people are looking at the chat, not at what I'm selling, that would decrease my ability to sell my items. And that decreases your ability to make money. And that would make the people in the chat who are doing all the disrupting kind of douchebaggish, So I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So I try not to do it to them. Because I'm a nice person, damn it. Kevin, did you fall asleep? With my heater / fish tank noises, it's weird that it's translating that way. But hey, if it worked for ASMR to get you to sleep when you couldn't sleep, all for it. Let me know anytime. I'll turn it on for you. Now, I did buy myself birthday presents in auctions in January because we had the stimulus. So I allotted myself a certain amount of money to get myself presents, and I got myself some really nice things. And I actually got really good deals on all of them. So the most I spent on any one item was $45, and I actually could have gotten it for 40, well, 35, but somebody bid on it, so I had to fight for it. But everything else I got pretty inexpensively, and I got my son a couple of things, and got my grandson some things. My granddaughter gets stuff all the time because people send me costume jewelry, and I don't use costume jewelry. I'm back to wrapping it, my leg, to shrink it down so I can try using the prosthetic again. Every time I've tried it since I got the prosthetic, I've had, I don't want to get gross, but I've had like fluid pockets burst in where the stitches areas were, like it's behind that, and it's epidural, it's in the skin, it's not in, where a danger zone or anything, and it's not an infection, it's just like a blood blister type of thing, but it's inside. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but they'll start draining, and the sleeve that I have to put on my leg is kind of like wetsuit material, like neoprene, like a silicone weird thing because it suctions onto my leg once I put it on, but it doesn't allow for breathability. So with an open wound, I don't want to put that on there because it'll hold moisture in and heat, and that could make it bad. So I can't use the leg and wrap my leg when that happens, and it kept happening. But a few days ago, it looked all clear to me, so I started wrapping my leg again. I should be able to use my prosthetic in a couple of weeks. We'll see how that goes. Now my only problem is my knees, because I have arthritis in my knees, and they were not being agreeable the last time I was using my prosthetic. I can use the wheelchair to get to where I need to go, and I can stand up and I'm fine. But the motion of taking a step, because you don't realize when you walk, you take a step, you're pulling yourself forward, and that's what it puts strain on your knees. And yeah, when you have arthritis in your knees, you feel it. So I might have to adapt to a combination of wheelchair and prosthetic, which is still giving me a hell of a lot more mobility than I had. So I'll take it. Thank you, Jen. I do too. I think my prosthetic guy thinks I broke up with him or something, because I have every month I have an appointment, and like right before the appointment happens, I'm still trying to get my leg to heal up. So I have to cancel and reschedule. I think he thinks I broke up with him. I told him the last time, I said, please tell Tom it's not personal. I really want to come to the appointment. The secretary started laughing. Oh, Sylvia, that'd be cool. Now, I don't know what kind of rules Facebook has for selling. I mean, I know you used to be able to put stuff up and sell it without paying for like a business type of page. I figure when I start making my jewelry, I can post pictures, like a show-off picture, and my people will just be like, how much do you want for that? You know what I mean? Jen, keeping me, makes good money. Yeah, he's a sweetheart too. He's married though, and I don't do married men. Not even the one I married. But he is a sweetheart, and he has an awesome sense of humor. And I can relate to him because he lost his whole leg in a farming accident when he was, I think he said 12, 9 or 12. He's got prosthetic like from the hip down, like the leg joint all the way down. Yeah, Sylvia, exactly. And I don't want any more complications, so I err on the side of caution. So I'd rather have to wait than have to have another surgery. I know I did, Sylvia. Well, when I was getting fitted for my prosthetic, they have to do like this wet cast type thing that they put on my lower leg, the lower part. I hate saying the word stump, but on the amputated part of my leg, they do this casting thing so that it makes a mold. And he had to put this cloth over my leg, of course, so your leg doesn't get all that goo on it. And he reached around me with this other piece of material so that he could tie it to the thing to hold it up, kind of like a garter, but it was like all the way around my waist. And he was tying knots and stuff. I was like, so this is good practice for your BDSM lifestyle. And he just busted up laughing. When I get nervous, I get a really sarcastic, really twisted sense of humor. And it just came out of my mouth. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's laughing so hard he couldn't finish tying the knot. And he was like, I love it when you come here because I get so many depressed people that are, which is understandable. I mean, the guy deals with people who have lost their limbs, but he's like, and you always come in here with the best sense of humor and you make me laugh and you brighten my day. So that was a really nice thing for him to say. And I was glad that I cheered him up. John and I used to get him rolling because John always came to my appointments with me. And, we'd leave his wife out in the waiting room and John would come into the room with me. And we used to get Tom just busting a gut laughing. And the first time I had to go back to that appointment without John's, they brought me into the same room that I always went into. So it was really hard for me. And yeah, I cried in the office. I was a big baby. But I still made him laugh because after I was done crying, I got sarcastic and I still made him laugh. And he hugged me because of John. And that was very sweet. And it's kind of crossing that patient line thing, but it wasn't a creepy hug. It was just a comfort hug, and it was very nice of him to do. The door stays open all the time, so we're good. It is, Sylvia. It is. Yeah, the first time I had to go back to my surgeon appointment was really hard because John helped me a lot in that office because just anything surgical is very traumatizing to me. And I had started off with my foot and then, of course, progressed. And so to go back into that office for a check without him was so hard that I just, yeah. There's nothing like ugly crying in your surgeon's office, sorry. But I did manage to go to a few of my appointments with the prosthetic guy after John died, and I only cried the first time because I could hear John's voice going, knock it off and just do what you need to do. You know better. Okay. Oh, and fun news, I'm at 129 subscribers now. One more and I'm 130. I'm like, woohoo! Exciting. And I have no interest in getting monetized. I mean, yeah, that'd be great, but the only reason I like getting the subscribers is because then when I go live, more people will know because they can see it, and I like to talk to people. So the more people who show up, the more people I get to talk to. I have managed to figure out how to do everything I need to get done except for doing the laundry because I can't get out there and putting my dog out. Yeah, it was nice of him. Because I can't get out in that damn little room. Because we have a back door, and then they built like a little add-on. So we have the back door, and then we have like it's only about maybe 5 feet long room, 5 feet by maybe 6 feet or something. But the washer and dryer stick out past the door frame, and so I can't get the wheelchair out there. So, and when I get my leg, I'll be able to take those couple of steps and get in there and do what I need to do. But I managed to figure out I can make myself food. I can cook on the stove if I'm using a frying pan. Pots I can't see into, so that would be difficult. Um, yeah, jobs are so hard to get these days. My son was looking all month, and he's going to have to go back to where he was originally before he started job jumping. Yeah, and I can understand that completely. Um, I can get the trash bag out of my room to get it out to the kitchen so that my son just has to take the kitchen trash in my trash bag when he takes stuff outside. He doesn't have to travel into my room to get my stuff or keep taking it out of here. Um, Found out I can get takeout. I was so hungry one day, and my son wasn't home, and I ordered Domino's because they deliver, and I like their. Well, I don't support Papa John's pizza because the guy Papa John was a big game hunter, and I don't do that. He was trophy hunting, but anyway, personal views, you know. But I managed to get the pizza and get back in my room in the wheelchair, which one-handed, which amazed me. So then it's not comfortable. It hurts my back to hold on to something and then use my other hand to push the wheelchair. But I did it. That was the point. um, we've gotten enough space cleared now in my room, moving that stuff around that I can get out the main door of my room, and I can actually turn the wheelchair around in here without doing an 18-point turn. So that's good. I got a long-handled cat litter scoop, so I can clean the cat box sitting in the wheelchair, because cleaning the cat box is very important. And I got a long-handled dustpan. It's like it has a little like bucket on the end of it. And you have the handle, and it comes with a matching broom, and it's purple. So that's I got equipment that will help me function with my limitations, and yeah, I still can't get out onto my porch because the door jamb is too high. I mean, I could probably do it, but it would be quite a drop. It's very jarring in the wheelchair when I drop over that. I can get out easier if someone pulls the wheelchair backwards. I have to go out backwards because otherwise I'll do a header onto the porch. And then getting back in the house is hard. I have to get pulled back into the house. So going out on my porch isn't a thing yet. I got to get one of those little ramps that fits over your door jamb so that you can just roll over it and you're fine. John and I used to sit on the porch all the time, and I miss it, even in the cold. Your age is a problem. Why? Do they not hire people after a certain age there? Because we have like 80-year-old people working at Walmart. And yeah, Jen, I've had my visitation with my grandkids taken away from me by my daughter so many times. Right now, she's not talking to me, but I can still have contact with the grandkids, which means when I'm on the phone with my mom and I hear them in the background, I can say, tell them I love them, and she can say it right away instead of telling me she'll say it, which she can't because I'm not allowed. So at least now I can still say it. Good morning, Lisa. How are you this morning, Lisa? Besides awake. My animals don't seem to have a problem falling back to sleep. Because I woke up because I had to go pee, Lisa, and I couldn't get back to sleep. My sleeping patterns are really odd, though. Normally I would be up at 1, and then I wouldn't be able to get to sleep and back to sleep until now. But last night I went into a food coma. My son made something really yummy. He made shrimp Alfredo with bacon bits in it for dinner, and he brought me this like hadn't eaten all day, so I was like, food. And I went into a kind of a food coma around 9:30, and I didn't wake up until 3. So I had extended sleep for me, and now I'm up. And I was bored, so I figured I'd open up the chat for anybody else that was up and, oh, so good. So good. Although next time I think we need to get the larger shrimp, because we got the small shrimp, like the small frozen ones, and they shrunk up to like nothing. Oh, Jen, that's sad when that happens. It really is sad when that happens. I haven't seen Talon, my godson. He lived in the house with us. And, he's my little baby. He's my angel, my tiny T-Rex, and I haven't seen him since before. Well, it was like the beginning of October, I think, was the last time I saw him. And yesterday, or the 22nd, Monday, his mother called me because she suddenly at 6:30 at night realized it was the 1-year anniversary of when John died. So she called me to see how I was doing, which there had to have been an ulterior motive because that girl doesn't care how I'm doing. She hasn't contacted me in months. And Talon was in the car, and I got to hear him talking, and she was like, "Who's that, Talon?" He's like, "I don't know," and it broke my heart. And I was like, "My tiny T-Rex doesn't know who I am." And she's like, "It's your Aunt Cody." And he was like, oh, "Auntie Bear." And he got all excited. And that made my heart smile. And so he was telling me how he was doing in school and that he was working hard. And he's actually on the AB honor roll. And I'm so proud of him because he does have some learning disabilities. And, he's apparently grounded right now because he's acting out. And I think his mother has been talking in kind of a derogatory way about John, and which wouldn't surprise me. But apparently he tried to kill the kid upstairs, literally. He grabbed an object and started choking the child he was playing with. I'm like, oh, not good. So they're taking him back to his therapist, which his therapist's name is Jim, and he has seen everybody in my family at some point in time or another. And he's really, really good with kids. He helped my son when my son was going through a rough time, and he's really good with kids. He helped Talon before, after John died, and Issa didn't listen to me about how Talon was going to act out because he was 6. He doesn't know how to process that. And his daddy just died, and he doesn't understand what that means, And sure enough, he started acting out really bad. And I said, he's 7 now. He turned 7 in November. And with Talon had a really high lead count when he was a baby. And I think he's also got like high functioning autism, although Issa hasn't taken him to get tested. And he had speech problems. He's speaking so much clearer now. I could hear everything he said clear, and I was just, oh my God, it just made my heart smile. And she said that she will try and bring him over on Saturday so I can see him, because I was like, Talon, I miss you. He goes, I miss you too, Auntie Bear. Mommy, I want to go see Auntie Bear. And I know that boy will harass her about it for the whole rest of the week. So hopefully she will keep her word, because she is not good at keeping her word. But hopefully she will, and I'll get to see him on Saturday and give him a big squishy hug. And I love that kid, I really do. So he's my little chaotic angel. That boy is chaos just standing still, man. He kills my empathy. I mean, but worth it. And I was like, you didn't send me any pictures of him opening his presents at Christmas. And she goes, oh, we didn't do presents. I'm like sitting going, what? Because like the week before Christmas, she sent me pictures of their naked tree that Talon put up. They had the 6-year-old put up the Christmas tree. It was not decorated. And pictures of things that she bought herself. Crazy girl. Good morning, Sarah. And I'm like, how can you not have Christmas for a 7-year-old? What's wrong with you? She said he did get one present. It was a hoodie from her boyfriend's mom, and he wears it all the time. I'm like, what? He's 7 years old. That kid should have had a Christmas. That woman, man, I'll tell you, I wouldn't have her in my life at all if it wasn't for Talon. That's crazy, Sylvia. That's like a narcissistic shit right there. Is isolating the people you're with, isolating someone. That's a form of abuse. That's terrible. I hope he breaks free of that because that's not good. I agree, Lisa. It's not. Yeah, Jen, I would imagine that that's not easy for him either. My kids' grandparents on their father's side, my younger two kids, their grandparents started doing things that I didn't approve of, and they wouldn't listen to me. And so I said, well, the kids aren't going to come see you if you don't stop with this bullshit. And they started screaming at me about parental rights. I'm like, go for it. I'm like, you let my daughter watch Jaws when she was a year old. She was terrified to go into the tub for 6 months. She wouldn't take a bath. I had to give her showers, and she was afraid of the water falling on her head. I mean, it's crazy, and they weren't allowed to see their father because he had been abusive. I busted him abusing my son physically when at a visitation. So they were letting him come see them, and no. I mean, when I walked into his apartment, I could hear my son screaming as soon as I entered the building, and I hit that door hard. I didn't even bother knocking. I just kicked it in, and he had my son upside down by an ankle, and he had a spoon in his hand. He was about to start beating on my kid, and I was like, put the child down gently. And he was like, oh shit. And I told the kids, grab your stuff, we're leaving. And I looked at him, I said, don't even bother contacting me again. And I walked out with the kids, and that was it. And he's lucky I did not kill him, but I didn't want to murder their father in front of them. So, yeah, they don't realize the damage they do. Yeah, it was horrible. I couldn't even believe that he had the strength to do it in the first place, but apparently he had also made my son eat dish soap because he told them that his girlfriend was their mommy and to call her mommy, and they were my son. I love my son. Said, that's not my mommy. That's just some girl you're sleeping with. He was like 2.5, 3 years old. So instead of timing him out or whatever, he made him eat dish soap. And my daughter, he scared my daughter so badly that she peed herself, and she was sitting on his bed at the time. So to punish her, he put her in the toy box and sat on the lid. And, this stuff I learned about after we got home, but it was enough that I heard my kids screaming like that when I got in the building. Yeah. Don't fuck with Mama Bear's kids, man. Mm-mm. So, right, Sarah, just show up. Hi, how are you? I came to see the kids. Yeah, it is. I mean, I had their father sign paperwork because he moved out of state. He was living in New Hampshire, and I was in Massachusetts. And trying to get kids back from across state lines up there is really difficult if one parent wants to keep them. So I made him sign all this paperwork and saying that he would he would lose his visitation if he did anything that violated the terms on the paperwork. And I, of course, included physical abuse. So he was done. And his parents kept letting him come to the house and see the kids. And the kids, of course, would tell me, Nana let Daddy come over, and they were still traumatized by their visit. So they didn't really want to visit with him at that point. And so I said, look, if you're going to violate the terms of your visitations, the only thing I said was do not let him near the kids. And they violated that. So I stopped their visitations. And they freaked out and started threatening me with lawsuits. I said, go for it. I know how broke you are. You can't afford a lawyer. I did eventually let them go back, but I told them, I said, one word of him being there and you're done. You won't ever see these kids again. And then they were going to try and make me stay in the state when I was talking about leaving because my husband was threatening my life and threatening to make me and the kids disappear. I told them, I said, well, I'm going to get the kids out of here. And they're like, you can't leave the state. We won't have visitations and we'll sue you to make you stay in the state. And I'm like, really? So that's why I left and I didn't tell them I was leaving. That's so sad, Sylvia. Yeah, it depends on what it is, Jen, that you need to forgive. There's no way in hell that I would forgive that man for doing what he did to my son or my daughter. Later on, my daughter, as she grew up, she's got very materialistic and decided I was the evil one. She started defending her father, and I was like, well, go for it. But then she went up to Massachusetts, and he wanted her to move in with him and get a job and help support him. And she was like, I'm here for a visit. And he goes, well, you can get a job while you're here and help with expenses. And she was like, bye. And she left. So, but before she left, she called my son and said that, their dad wanted to talk to him. And my son was like, who? This was when my son was 11. And she's like, well, he wants to call you and talk to you. And he goes, well, I don't know if Mom will allow that. And so he asked me, I said, it's up to you. It's your father. So he's like, all right, yeah, he can call. And so their father called and said, yeah, I'm going to come down and visit your sister, and I want to see you too. Well, you don't tell one child you're coming to visit the other child. That's rude. And my son was like, oh, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing you so I can punch you in the goddamn face. Bye, fucker. And he hung up the phone. Now, I never, ever badmouthed their father to them because I don't believe in that. Even with the abuse, I never said a word. They knew what happened. So I didn't have to, expound on that. But they, I wanted them to draw their own conclusions by his behavior towards them. And my daughter was oblivious to it or just ignored it. And my son remembered every single damn thing. So he wanted nothing to do with the man. So, and then of course I was accused of twisting my son's mind against him. And I'm like, whatever, dude, you did that yourself. I never badmouthed him. I never had conversations about him in front of the kids, nothing. Because I wasn't going to be that one that they could blame, oh, she just badmouthed me and they hate me now. And nope, that wasn't me. Yeah, Sylvia, could you imagine bringing children into that situation? That would be horrible for the child. So, well, I did bring the kids up after I moved here. I talked to their paternal grandparents, and they had a falling out with their son because apparently the kid's father went to see them, and a whole bunch of stuff came up missing, little things, jewelry and cash, and so they were having none of it with him. And they wanted to see the kids. So I drove them all the way from South Carolina to Massachusetts to visit for the summer. They stayed for 2 months and visited with family. They also had to sign an agreement because I was like, 2 months without my babies because they were still little, and then I went back up and I picked them up and brought them home. And it went smoothly and they had a good time. And all that, and I think that was the last year. They talked to them on the phone all the time, but that was the last year they were able to go up visit because the grandparents started having health issues and they wouldn't have been able to do anything with the kids. So, and a couple years later, their grandfather passed, and then I think the year after that, their grandmother passed. But they did have that summer with them, so I was glad they got that with them. Yeah, Sylvia, it's so hard. I mean, trying to stay in touch with people that are being isolated like that is difficult. My friend, who passed 2 years ago, she married a guy who moved her into the boonies in Maine and cut her off from her family, from me. I'd like call her phone and he would answer it and be like, "Well, she's busy." And I got to the point where the next time I called because this happened like 3 times, and I'm sitting there, "Why are you answering her phone?" You know, and I asked him that, and he goes, "Well, because my phone broke, so I use hers when I go to work." I'm like, "So she's isolated at home with no communication." I'm like, "What the fuck?" So the next time I called, I was like, "Look, either you put my girl on the phone, or I'm calling the cops and having them do a wellness check on my friend because I haven't talked to her the last 5 times I've called, and this is ridiculous. And I don't know what the hell your problem is, but knock it off." And like 10 minutes later, she called me back, and her and I had a code to let me know if everything was okay or not. And when I said the key phrase, she answered in the negative. She was not okay. So I ended up calling the Maine State Police and having them go check on her, and they were able to get her out of the house. He had her pretty much locked up. She couldn't do anything. She couldn't go anywhere. There was bars on the windows. There was a big padlock on the outside of the door leading out of the house, both doors. So when he left the house, he would lock her into the house. It was absolutely ridiculous. And so they were able to get her out of there, and that was a good thing. But it was scary as hell, because he could have killed her up there and nobody would have known it. Her family was kind of like, "Oh, well, she doesn't want to contact us. She doesn't want to have anything to do with us." And they kind of wrote it off. Yeah. The bear was having none of that shit. I was like, "Give me my friend right now," So, yeah, narcissists don't like the truth. They have to blame other people and always make it their fault. It's always it's always your fault. It's always, so her brother is taking the blame for anything and everything, and it beats you down. It does, and just all of a sudden you're afraid to move because you might do something wrong. It's crazy, and it is definitely a form of abuse. And I feel really, really bad for him. Damn. That's sad, Sylvia. I hope he can break free. I really do, and that you guys can, reconnect. Jen, that is probably true. It's kind of like you got to dance with the devil in order to get what you want. Um, there are a lot of times you have to maintain a facade of acceptance of what's going on in order to get what you want. And it's hard because for people that are not deceptive, we don't like to do that, but I've had to do it. And it's like being nice to someone in order to achieve a different goal, and it's wearing on you. It really wears on you. I really hope he breaks free, Sylvia. I do. And 9 times out of 10, the people that are being victimized by stuff like that don't even realize it, because narcissists that are good at it, they start off very subtle, And it's just little things at first. They're testing the waters to see if they can control that person. And it just gets to the point where then the person, is completely controlled and they don't even realize it. It's a serious mind fuck, is what it is. Oh, yeah. See, this is why I wish it was legal to throw punch people and not have any consequences. It's like, shut up, bitch. Bam. Oh, so it's specifically against you. Well, see, if I were him, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to the store, da da da. I'd be at your house, being like, what's up? Unless she has a tracker on his phone or something. Which, if she's tech savvy, that's possible. Or the car, like a Domino's driver, you track where you go. This situation sucked. John, when he was drinking heavily, used to try and gaslight me and do that whole blame games. And I'm like, don't even try. I was like, go sit down before you hurt yourself. I said, that shit don't work with me. You know that. Because addicts do that. Addicts are really good at manipulating people. Yeah, Jen, I try. I used to relive things, and I used to blame myself for a lot of things. And right after we moved here, I was always kind of a don't treat me like shit kind of person, but right after we moved here, John threw one of his fits, and he was like, "I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm walking." Da-da-da. And he walked out the door, and I broke down, and I was hysterical, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what did I do wrong? Why doesn't anybody stay with me?" Da 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 da, et cetera, et cetera. Put all the blame on myself, and I'm sitting there crying my ass off, and it was like the sun came out, and I was like, "What in the fuck am I doing?" Like, I just stopped dead crying, and I'm like, "What am I doing?" I'm like, he's the asshole leaving. You know what I mean? I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, what? So he came back, and I looked at him. I said, the next time you started to walk out, I said, I'm going to help you pack. And he was like, yeah, right. And the next time he did it, I was like, hold on, let me help you pack. And I grabbed a garbage bag, and he's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm packing for you. Not a tear in my eye. He's like, wait, are you serious? I was like, I'm done with your manipulation. I'm done with you trying to make me think that, you walk on water, so I can't do without you. I was like, guess what? I can do perfectly fine without you. And, yeah, he had a whole change of attitude after that for a little while. But that was when I stopped letting him treat me like shit. I stopped letting him gaslight me. I stopped letting him try and make me feel it was my fault. Because I knew damn well it wasn't. And I'm like, I'm smarter than this. What the fuck am I letting him do to me? And that's when I decided, I'm a fucking rock star goddess. He better fucking treat me that way. So anytime he stopped, I looked at him. I was like, motherfucker, you better remember who you're talking to. And he would stop. But the alcoholic brain will revert. So when he stopped drinking was the best day ever. 2 years before he died, he stopped drinking, and he turned into the person that I knew he could be. And it was absolutely fantastic. Oh, Sylvia. So she's taking advantage of somebody that has impairments. That's not good. That's damn. She's victimizing the shit out of him, and there's nothing you can do. I can understand how much that hurts. You do, Jen. You have to keep telling yourself not to just blame yourself. It's a lot of times with like relationship problems. It can be a two-way street. There's issues on both sides that are causing the problem, but in a situation where you're in a relationship with an addict of any kind, they're very manipulative, and you could do absolutely nothing wrong and not contribute to anything, and the next thing you know, they're freaking out and blowing up at you like the whole world is your fault. But Um, yeah, that bitch need to go. It's like, yo, bitch, you need to go. Yeah. But you know what? I got to the point. I got very zen. After that epiphany, I guess you would call it. I got very zen, and I stopped stressing over things that I couldn't control because it was driving me crazy. You know, I couldn't control his actions. I could to a point because I was the only one he listened to when he got really bad and started flailing around, and I could get him calmed down, and then he'd pass out, and we were all good. But with certain situations, I can't control it, and trying to control it would drive you crazy. So I just kind of had to, okay, that happened, and we're going to move on from there, and try and not let it get to that point again. Or, you know, if I see that situation coming, I'm going to extract myself from it. Which isn't to say that, you know, shit would happen, I just roll over and play dead, but you know, I had a lot of shit happen that I couldn't control. And I mean, I lost custody of my kids, and you know, I couldn't control that. That was outside forces that were manipulated, and because of the manipulations and the lies that were told, and the other parties believing it all, I lost my kids, and I couldn't control that, but I could control the fact that I wanted to see them. Now, my middle child, she wouldn't do visitation. She blamed me for everything. She was the one that called social services because I wouldn't let her do something she wanted to do. It was a very all about me thing. But I could control visiting my son, and social services kept putting off my visitation. And I finally was like, you know what, screw this. And I called my attorney. And the attorney I got assigned by the courts was the most fantastic attorney I have ever had to deal with. And he immediately called the caseworker and told them he was going to file all kinds of paperwork if they didn't let me see my child. So, boom, there it is. I had visitation in 2 days. So, yeah, I can control my actions and what I can do about situations once they happened. There's with that situation, there's no way I could go back and change it unless I let my daughter do what she wanted to do. And as a parent, I couldn't do that. Because she was 13, well endowed. She was already in a D-cup bra, and she wanted to train with the Southern Wrestling Association because her best friend's father was in it. So they used to go and watch the practices. And her friend was going to be doing it because her parents apparently didn't care. But I was like, no, my 13-year-old daughter is not going to get tossed around a wrestling ring by half-naked, sweaty adult men. No. So I wouldn't let her do it. I told her when she was 17 and legally an adult in South Carolina, she could do that if she wanted to. She did not want to wait. So she made up a bunch of bullshit called DSS. Her best friend's parents got a temporary foster care voucher, license, whatever, and then went through the classes to get foster care licensing. And she went to live with them. And what did she do? Started training with wrestling. So, and apparently DSS didn't care that she was being, flung around a wrestling ring by some adult guy who's going to grab her tit at every opportunity. So, yeah. Yeah, sometimes you just got to put it in the higher power's hands. So, yeah, and it's really hard to let go of that. It is. It definitely is. But even though my daughter wouldn't do visitations with us, I did everything that DSS came up with they came up with for our plan of getting my kids back. My daughter didn't comply with it at all, and they were fine with that, which pisses me off. But I did everything they told me to do, and I made sure I went to visitations with my son regularly because I missed the shit out of that kid. And I miss both of my kids, of course, but I was able to see my son. I wasn't able to see my daughter. And my son didn't want to be there. He wanted to be at home playing his video games and, playing with his dog and all that. So the one that suffered the most from all of that was my son because he didn't have a choice in any of it. Okay, Jen. So, and he does have, my son does have issues from being in, he ended up in a boys' home facility. So he wasn't in someone's home. He wasn't in a friend's home like my daughter, who they gave $200 to every month out of their $400 money for having her in their house. So 13-year-olds getting $200 a month just for existing. Who's going to want to give that up? My son does have what's called an institutionalized problem sometimes with dealing with the public and dealing with people. But he still deals with repercussions from being there, and my heart breaks for him sometimes. Sometimes he's an asshole, but he's my kid, so that's expected. But I love him bunches, and I'm so appreciative of the help he's given me. I mean, there was a period of time in there where he had crossed over the line of being verbally abusive and neglectful, and I don't know what happened, but him and I had this big screaming fight one night because I just had enough. And after that, he went back to being how he always had been before. We get along great now, so I'm happy that we're back to communicating again. Yep, that's true, Sylvia. My daughter, to this day, I mean, she's 27, and she still will not admit that she made up a whole bunch of crap and hurt her family like she did. So she basically has nothing to do with the family. She calls my mother every once in a while because my mother still sends her money for her birthday and for Christmas. So she'll call my mom every once in a while and give her an update. That's the only reason I know she's doing well, which I'm glad she's doing well, but I wish she would, admit to herself what she did. She doesn't have to admit it to me. She doesn't have to apologize. But if she admitted to herself, then her subconscious, which keeps punishing her with different things, would ease up, because subconsciously she knows what she did was wrong. And until she can admit that and forgive herself for it, she's going to have mental and emotional problems. And I don't want that for her. I want her to have a, mentally healthy life. But eventually, someday, maybe, My oldest daughter doesn't like me either. I'm like, why is it the girls think I'm toxic, but my son loves the crap out of me? I hope. At least he seems to, But my daughters are, I don't know. It's just I can't control my oldest daughter. I can't control her brain. There's no way to do it to make her realize that the crap she's spewing at me saying I never did. But I can't. I can only tell her I didn't do it. She doesn't believe me. In her head, I did it. So there's no getting around that. I'm just glad she didn't shut me off from the grandkids this time. I mean, I lost 7 years with my grandkids. When they were little, I missed all of their growing up. I wasn't allowed to go to my mom's house because my daughter lives there with the kids. So I wasn't even allowed to go to my mom's. I could pull up in the driveway. That was it. That was as far as I could go. My mom had to come out to talk to me. So that was very sad. Very, very sad. Good morning, Iris. A little early for that, don't you think? Unless that's orange juice, girl. What are you doing? Iris walking in with a drink tray. Hello. Oh, Iris, that's so sad. No, that's rough. Yeah. And sending you big bear hugs, Iris. That really, really, really sucks. Have you ever tried to find them through those programs and things they have to find your children or Dr. Pepper? Well, I'll pass then. I'll take my Pepsi. Sylvia, the human brain tends to focus on negative. I've seen it on YouTube. People will get a couple of thumbs down and they freak out, you know, and they get one little bit of flack or negative feedback from someone and they're like, oh, I'm quitting YouTube. And I'm not talking about anybody that we hang out with or anything, but just random people are, I've seen it. And I'm like, why you have, thousands of subscribers that are giving you positive feedback and you get one or two that are like, grr, and you're like, oh, fuck this. No, but the human brain tends to focus on the negative, and I don't know why. It's just a thing, and I'm sure that there have been studies on it, but we focus on the negative, and then we blame ourselves, and it's like, you can't please everybody, you just can't. So, I've gotten thumbs down. It's like, woohoo, I've made it on YouTube. I get thumbs down. I am definitely not everybody's cup of tea, and I can fully understand that. But I don't know. And it is a huge mental exercise to be able to let go of negative and move on and just do your thing. Thank you, Iris. Pepsi it is. I love Pepsi. Pepsi or orange. I found out recently that I have no problem with orange Fanta. I never liked it when I was a kid. I never liked Fanta soda. But apparently I don't have a problem with orange Fanta around. Yeah, it's just not possible to please everybody. It's just not going to happen. Even the most beloved celebrities and comedians and whatnot, even they have haters. So you just have to be yourself, and the people that like you will like you, and the people that don't have to fucking watch. Go away. Yeah, I've never liked Dr. Pepper. Hurts my tongue, and I don't like the taste. I don't like Cheerwine either. Cheerwine is huge here in South Carolina, and I do not like it. You just realized you were lagging. Don't you hate it when that happens? I've done that. It's like, why is my chat not matching up with what's being said? And I'm like, look, and there'll be like a little bit of space on that red bar, and I'm like, oh, whoops. I had Robin Williams in my head, Iris. Yeah. George Carlin had a lot of haters from the Puritans and people that thought that his mouth was just foul. And I'm like, well, fuck, that's why everybody else likes him. And Robin Williams was just, oh my God, man. If I had met that man in person, I would have just wanted to hug him. He was just, and I feel bad that he felt he didn't have anybody to talk to and that he, took that way out. I felt really bad because he just made so many people happy. And, yeah. The StreamYard and the chat usually lag a little bit. There's always some lag. I have my YouTube chat popped out, so hopefully I'm hitting your comments as close as I can to when you type them. Because there is a delay from when you see them, from when you guys type them to when I see them. I've noticed it big time in some auctions. It's just horrible, the lags. Like, that's why whenever I moderate in the chat only. I don't go on StreamYard because that way my chat is current and I can keep up with bids. Because otherwise, because you hear the person auctioning something and they're like, oh, we had such and such bid for 20, yet we're all the way down 15 bids past that and at 45 or something in the chat, and it's like yeah. So whenever I moderate an auction, I always do it in the chat. Yeah, and the more people they have on the panel too. If they have other people like waiting to do their thing, like if you have 2 or 3 people, the more people you have on the panel, the greater the lag will be. And sometimes StreamYard's just having a sucky day and your lag is horrible anyway. But I don't get asked to moderate many auctions anymore. I moderate for Fluffy, but he's not having auctions right now. So he's kind of taking care of some personal things. Well, that's ironic, Sylvia, because Cody is psychic. He's taking care of some personal issues, and taking a little break, I guess. He was on Conky's auction. He moderates Conky's Flippin' Adventure. He moderates for him on Saturday nights, and he was in there, and he said that he just had some stuff going on in the background, which is why Ma Powell and I started doing lives, is because the people that used to come into Fluffy's chats, we missed them, and so we started doing lives so that we could still talk to our peeps, you know? It's Tina's turn, because when I started doing lives, I was like, okay, well, when are you going to do one? She goes, oh, no, girl, you got to catch up to me. And I was like, okay, I've done like 4, so your turn. And then I did another one, so it's definitely Tina's turn next. No, Iris, once you do it, you'll be fine. You know, it's that anxiety of you haven't done it yet, you don't know what's going to happen. Are you gonna screw up? You know, it's just part of the process. It's everything takes practice. I had a little bit of advanced training for talking on something live, because I used to do a radio show. I used to go on a internet radio station. But when I did the show by myself, I used to go on with the owner, and it was like a comedic section where she'd read off headlines, and we'd come up with different stories for the headlines. And my brain had a problem with that, because I'd be like, what the hell? That's not possible. You know, she'd be like, you're ruining it. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But everybody liked the way that we bantered, and it was very popular. And then she wanted me to do my own show. But when I did my own show and I was talking like this, I had no real feedback from anybody. And so it sucked. But right now I have you guys, you know, I can read your chat and I can feed off that back and forth, and that works. Notice my camera is off. You get the bear, you get the pirate bear. Well, Iris, Hot Mess Thrifter does her auctions, and she's almost never on camera. The only time she's on camera is if she has to show clothes, and other than that, it's jewelry, so it's just her hands. Small little things that you can aim your camera at, so you're behind it and you're not on camera. It's still possible to do them even if you're not on camera. Yeah, nerves, stage fright is a big thing. I could never get up in front of a crowd when I was a kid. I couldn't do it. I got made fun of a lot in school, so whenever I was a kid and I had to do like an oral report for English class and make you read the book, write a report, and then do an oral report, and the teacher would be at the back of the room, and all the kids facing me would be making faces at me and making fun of me. And yeah, I still got A's because I'm good at what I do, but it bothered me. And Sylvia, I think you'd be fine. If we can understand Fluffy, we'll be able to understand you, because that big Brit fucker is sometimes indecipherable, and we all have to go, what? Yeah, I make beaded jewelry too, although I can't wait to get back to my soldering. And eventually I'll be able to combine the things that I make with my soldering with the things that I make with beads. So there's always a market for it. So Iris, there's always a market for things. You just have to find the people, you know, that's that's the hardest part of it, is finding the audience that will appreciate it. Because I see people selling handmade things and they're going really inexpensively, and I'm sitting there going, I put 3 days worth of work into that. I'm not selling it for $10. You know what I mean? So yeah, like Iris said, we might ask you to clarify something. Huh. You could walk on it. That's cool. Everybody expects me to talk like I'm from Boston. I live 40 miles west of Boston, so yeah, I don't have the Boston Southie accent. But when I first moved here and I was working, there was a kid that worked in the stock room at Walmart. He did stock, well, not in the stock room, but he stocked the shelves at night, and he kept trying to get me to say beer. And he'd be like, come on, say beer. And I'm like, beer. And he's like, no, say it the right way. And I'm like, I am saying it the right way. He's like, no, you're from Massachusetts. Say it the right way. I'm like, oh. So I finally was like, beer. He just died laughing, and he was so happy that I said it that way. I'm like, you're weird. Fucking hillbilly. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. Because you say you're from, yeah, it is. Bostonian is very different from New York. And a lot of people here think I'm from New York. And I'm like, why? Although I do, when I get really, really mad, I do sound like I'm from the Bronx. It's really weird. I don't know where it comes from, but whenever John heard that accent, he would leave the house. Because he didn't know who I was mad at, and he didn't want to know. He would just leave. But, yeah, I don't know. People ask me what kind of accent I have. I'm Westford, Massachusetts. That's where I grew up. I don't know what to tell you. My mother was very big on articulation, so I mean, it sounds weird now because of the missing teeth. I lisp a lot. It drives me crazy. I say and but and all that. I know that public speaking, when you take public speaking classes, they train that out of you. It's very true, Iris. They can tell what town you're from by the way you talk. I was born in Maine, actually. I was born in Portland, Maine, but I only lived there 6 months. My mother had to stay there for 6 months after the adoption, so that the workers could come and check, and there was a nurse that would come out and check, and they had to do doctor appointments to make sure I was being taken care of correctly. And then I was moved to Carlisle, Massachusetts, and I lived there apparently for a year. And then my parents bought their house, and that's where I grew up, in Westford. But I was adopted when I was 5 days old. So, yep. We did go on vacation in Portland. The only thing I remember, because I was little, I was like 5 or 6 years old when we went there. The only thing I remember is that they had an indoor pool, and I thought that was the best thing on the planet. I lived in that pool for the whole week we were there, because being a redhead, being outside of the pool, which I love to swim, being outside of the pool my mom would have to slather me in sunblock, and then I'd go in the pool and I'd come out and she'd have to put it on again, and and if we didn't do that, I would burn to a crisp, and it was very painful. So that indoor pool was heaven to me. I was just like, I want to go to the pool. I want to go to the pool. I probably drove them crazy. I will say it's the only time we went to Portland, or anywhere with an indoor pool. But yeah, that's all I remember of that vacation. That's cool. My cousin in Canada had a boat. All of my dad's relatives, my dad's Canadian, all of my relatives on his side are in Canada, like bunnies. They bred like bunnies. They're everywhere. There were 7 kids in my dad's family. He was the youngest. And the rest of them were very prolific with their spawning. So they are absolutely everywhere in Canada. I will not go on vacation in Canada. I will run into a relative. But my cousin had a boat, and I was 10, I think, the last time we were in Canada. And we were on the boat, and his fiance tried to give me champagne. And my mother freaked out because she's like, stop trying to get my child drunk. She's underage. She can't have that. And da-da. She ripped his fiance a new one. Yeah, he didn't marry her, but the one he did marry ended up having him killed. So he was big in a computer tech company. He owned his own company, and they made microchips or something, and he made millions. He's a multimillionaire, and then one day he decided, well, I have enough money, and I'm tired of working all the time when I don't have to. So he sold the company, made more money on that, of course, and he started doing small boat repair, like boat engines and things like that. And his wife, who became accustomed to the lifestyle of hoity-toity, rich and famous, didn't like that. So one day when he was testing a boat he'd been working on, the throttle and steering stuck, and he slammed into the dock and died. And as soon as my father got the phone call and told us what happened, I knew that that was not an accident. My intuition, my little voice in my head said, yeah, that was done on purpose. But it was never investigated, and she got all this money and shacked up with her chauffeur. So after my dad died about 22 years ago, we never heard from the family in Canada again. So damn. Yeah, my cousin's boat was not that big. It did have the cabin below, like the sleeping quarters and stuff, and a tiny little kitchen in it, but it was not 100. If there were 100 people on it, they were hanging off the sides and they were in, floaties behind it or something. Okay, Sylvia. Have a good day, Sylvia. We'll talk to you later. I wish people lived near me too, because I don't have any friends in person here. You guys are it. You're stuck with me. Yeah, after the trip to Portland, my parents got a camper that they could tow behind the car, and we used to go to campgrounds all the time. We were boondocking, which I didn't know it was called that at the time, but I had a blast at those places because they always had like huge playgrounds for kids, and there was always water nearby, and there was always the guy that fed the squirrel. There was always some guy that had a squirrel that would follow him around, and he'd feed him peanuts and stuff in every single campground we went to. Yeah. It was lucky if it had a bar. But, I mean, that's fun going on. I always wanted to go on, like, a boat trip whale watching, especially in Alaska, because I love orcas. And I would love to go somewhere that were orcas and see them out in their natural environment instead of, like, at an aquarium or on videos. Orcas fascinate me. I absolutely love them. Oh. Well, yeah. Okay, so we just went camping. Sorry. We went New Hampshire, Vermont, places like that. It was fun. I had a blast. I loved camping. I mean, now if I went, it would have to be glamping because my back can't handle a regular little camper thing, and I definitely can't climb up into a loft. And with my leg, I would need, something that had handicapped accessible type thing. Yeah. Yeah. Long way away. Hi, Squashy. We were just talking about you guys. Sylvia, it was you. Yeah, Sylvia asked how you guys were doing, and I let them know that you guys were dealing with some stuff behind the scenes. But that you went on Conky's auction, so you guys were still alive, Yeah, Iris, the campgrounds we always went to had lakes and stuff. They always had a lake that you could go swimming in and frog catching. That was my big thing when I was a kid. I used to catch frogs. That was my jam. I was a champion bull catcher at the day camp I went to. because both of my parents were working, I would get shipped off to camp every summer for 8 weeks. But because my mom couldn't let go, they were always day camps. So I'd get dropped off in the morning, get picked up at night, afternoon. And we had a pond, the one that I went to for like 5 years. There was a pond that they taught you to do rowboating and canoeing, and there were huge bullfrogs there, and I was a champion bullfrog catcher at camp. Beat out the boys and everything. Oh, nearly drowning is bad, Iris. Don't do that. I'm glad you guys are okay, Squashy. I'm sorry you had to deal with stuff. It's not good dealing with stuff. I'd like it if all my friends just didn't have to deal with any crap and they could just live their lives and be happy all the time. That's what I wish for everybody, to be happy. But yeah, back then, Iris, it was, you could ride your bike around the campground and not worry about getting snatched or stolen or, run over. Everybody was very respectful, and nowadays it's like you can't let your kids out of your sight. But the last camp I went to when I was, the second to last camp I went to when I was 11, I actually was the youngest person to get their junior life-saving certificate because I didn't want to have to use my time for swimming lessons for swimming. I wanted to go to the barn because they had horses, and I skipped a lot of my activities to go there. Wow. I agree, It was totally squashy, I'm just glad that one of the things I had to deal with is gone now. Now I just have to take over that room with all my craft stuff and I'll be good. The last camp I went to was a Christian camp. The only reason I agreed to go was because they had horses too. And it was the most horrible camp experience I ever had in my life. They took us camping in the White Mountains for 3 days, and the counselors got us lost on the second day. And we were lost for 2 days. I'm the one that got us out. So, the 13-year-old was the one who saved all of us from being lost and wandering around the White Mountains for days. It's not something a 13-year-old should have to have the responsibility for, but I was the only one who knew what they were doing, and that was frightening to me. But I did it because it had to be done. And then the second camping trip they wanted us to go on was supposed to be canoeing. And the counselors in training decided to do their canoe trip that weekend, so they took all the canoes. So they were going to have us go hiking in the White Mountains again, and I went, oh, hell no. And they wouldn't let me stay behind, so I called Mom, said, get me the hell out of here. They're going to make me go to the White Mountains again. And because they totally ruined camping and hiking for me at that point, unless it's a camper or an RV or something. Nope. I'm not hiking to where I need to go. I was totally traumatized by that, and I was not going again. And so my mom called the camp director, and they said, do not put my child in that van. We are coming to get her. And they did. And that was the end of that. Hi, Lee. How are you? Canoeing is fun. I loved canoeing, even though the one canoe trip we canoed across Lake Winnipesaukee to the town that was on the lake across from us. And the trip there was absolutely fantastic. The whole trip was fantastic. We had a great time. And then we got back, and as soon as we got back and I went inside our cabin, my legs were on fire. I had at least a 2nd-degree sunburn on the tops of my legs and the tops of my feet. Because, of course, I was in shorts and the water reflecting, and I forgot sunscreen. I spent 3 days in my cottage with cold, wet sheets on my legs and a can of Solar Cane in each hand spraying down my legs. Yeah, so that wasn't fun. I also got chased by a swarm of bees while I was at that camp. I had bees everywhere. They were in my socks. They were in my bra. I went from roller skating. Yeah, I brought roller skates to camp. Went from roller skating in the tennis court area, which was just below our cottage. We were on a hill, to running up the hill in the roller skates. If you've never seen a fat girl running on roller skates, well, I'm really glad there was no video footage of that. Went directly into the cottage, into the shower, turned on the cold water, and started stripping. And bees were falling out of my clothes. It was horrible. I actually did not get stung that many times, which was shocking to me. But I did have a few, and that was uncomfortable. Like I said, that was the worst camp experience in total that I've ever had. And I'm sorry, but a camp director that makes all of the children call him uncle is creepy to me. So, no. They also made us get up 6:30 in the morning to go sit outside on dew-covered everything for Bible study. And since I wasn't really religious, I didn't like that. I did get an award for riflery and archery, though. So, squashy. We dumped canoes so many times, it wasn't funny. So many times. Yeah, Iris, I've gotten sunburn on my eyelids, and it is so painful. Every time you blink, it's like, ow. Yeah, it's horrible. When I was 9, I was, the camp I was at was called Camp Thoreau, and it was in Concord, Massachusetts. And they did have a sailing program. You had to be 8 years old before you could go because you had to hike half a mile to get to White's Pond, which well, I would say everybody should know, but it's not, unless you've dealt with it, you don't know. But that's where Thoreau wrote a lot of his work, was sitting on White's Pond. So I got to go to this historic lake, which I didn't know it was historic. I know now, so that's cool. But we went sailing, and I had already had the year before that I learned to sail, and I was good at it. I picked it up pretty quick. And I was out there with this girl who was absolutely useless, and a storm came in really fast, and we got caught in the thunderstorm in the middle of the lake. So I'm trying to pack us back to the dock, and she's jumping all over this little sailboat, and I'm just like, sit down, you're gonna flip us. And she's like, oh my god, we're gonna get hit by lightning. I'm like, sit down. And she ended up causing the boat to tip, and we capsized, and I had to haul her stupid ass up onto the bottom of the boat, which was now the top of the boat. And yeah. And then the guy came in the rowboat and rescued us, and then I went back out with him to uncapsize because the mast got stuck on the bottom. So I went out with him. Here I am, 9 years old, going out with the guy because he needed somebody to be able to keep the rowboat near the boat while he went underwater to unstick the sailboat. And then I helped him get it upright, and we towed it back in. But yeah, it's kind of telling that he took me instead of one of the counselors. I did get to slap that girl, though, because she was on the bottom of the boat, which was, the top of the boat. And I'm having her hold on to the rudder, and she's just screaming at herself. And I'm like, will you please shut up? And she's like, ah! And I got to slap her to calm her down, so that was satisfying. So, yeah. The school got it on pics. Oh, that's horrible. Well, Iris, when we learned how to canoe at that camp, we were in the pond, so it was very small. I mean, just a few strokes swimming it, and you're on the other side. But it was mandatory. They taught you had to dump the canoe. You had to rock it until it tipped, and then you had to upright it and get back in it, etc. And it was mandatory because if that happened out in the open water, I mean, you're stuck with a capsized canoe. You have to learn how to get it back upright. So they taught us how to do that. And I would have done it with the sailboat, but it got wedged on the bottom, so I couldn't do it by myself. And useless over there was no help whatsoever. Yeah, rivers are harder though because you've got flow, you've got current to worry about. But yeah, with the Christian camp that I went to, I tied with one of the older boys for the archery award, 59 out of 60 bullseyes, and we each got it. He was pissed that I had the same. He He was so mad because he thought he was the shit. Nope. And I beat him out in riflery, so he was really pissed about that. I'm a good shot with a 22 anyway. I learned I could use a handgun pretty well too, because John wanted me to learn, because rifles are a little harder to get ready if somebody breaks into your house. So he wanted me to be prepared. Being in the South, we were kind of out in the boonies. So I got a handgun. I got a High Point, which is a horrible handgun. Yeah, poor baby beat by a kid. Yep, he was a year older than me, so it wasn't too much of an age difference. But of course, to a boy, it's, huge. He's manly man, and I can do everything. No, he couldn't. He was also pissed that I did it with the same weight bow that he had, because I didn't use the little girly bows. I was using a 22-pound bow. If you know anything about archery, that's a pretty hard draw, and he was mad. No, 9 years old. 9 years old, I was good at archery, but I wasn't quite at that level. How old was I when I was at that camp? 13, I think. Yeah, I was 13, and he was 14 or 15, something like that. So yeah, his little feelings got hurt because I kicked his ass. I used to have to wait because we had our cabin and the boys' cabins had archery at the same time, and they're handing almost 10-pound bows and 11-pound bows, and I'm pulling back past my ear with a pinky, and I'm just like, I can't use this. I'm going to shoot this thing into the next county. What are you thinking? So I would have to wait until one of the boys was done before I could start shooting. So yeah, I was pretty strong when I was a kid. Now I probably wouldn't be able to do it because of my back, and my nerve damage in my hands makes it very painful for me to touch things. So I probably would not. I mean, if I had to, I could, but now I wouldn't. John wanted us to do archery, and he even got a bow. I don't know what happened to it, but he did get a bow, and he got some arrows, and yeah, these little paper targets. And I'm like, we're so close to our neighbors now. We sneeze, and they say, "Bless you," on the inside. I'm like, there's no way. We have somewhere to do that. But anyway, with the handgun, he wanted me to learn, and he worked at TLE at Walmart, Tire Lube and Express. And they had these promotions going where they had race car drivers, full-size cutouts, promoting, I don't know, batteries or tires or some crap, right? So when they were done with the display, he brought them home, and he said, here, we have targets. They're life-size, so that's good, right? I'm like, okay. So, of course, getting used to a handgun, I was like, But I warmed up to it pretty quick. And let's just say that Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon are lucky that it wasn't actually them, because I did some pretty good clusters in places that they definitely not want them. Even John was kind of scared. He was like, damn, okay, remind me never to piss you off. I'm like, you should already know that by now. And I had that until he tried to kill himself with it. And then I took it back to Punch Up. I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm not having this in my house. He had a really bad suicidal alcoholic moment. And he was, years later, he was still amazed that I was able to get the gun away from him. I mean, he had it pointed under his chin, and I was able to drop the clip. ATG, I was able to drop the clip with him holding it, and then get it out of his hand and unchamber the one that was in the chamber, all in like 3 seconds. And he was like, how? He just stood going, how the fuck did you do that? I'm like, I don't know, but if I have to, I'll do it again. All I can attribute it to it is watching Jackie Chan movies, so that's the only thing I can think of, because I was never trained to do that. But I did stop. I told him, I was like, you're lucky I don't beat you to death with this thing. What are you thinking? So, yeah. It was a very scary moment. And I told him, I was like, I'm not having you get blood all over my damn bedroom. I'm not cleaning that up. I'm going to assume sleeping, Lee. I don't know. Squashy's in the chat. There. Now Lee is blue. So yeah, John and I had some pretty heartbreaking moments with different things, but Fluffy is asleep. Best place for him. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, that was the end of having a handgun in the house. Although it did come in handy when I had someone trying to break into my house to get the dog out of my house without realizing that I had 3 other dogs in the house that did not know her. So getting her dog out would have been difficult. She asked me to babysit her Great Dane for a month until she found a place that she could have, a big dog. And that month lasted 9 months with no financial help whatsoever for dog food, no dog food for her. So I had to feed her, and Danes eat a lot, and I already had one. I had just gotten a Great Dane, so I was feeding 2 Great Danes. Oh my God, the food amount that these dogs went through was, and her dog ate my house, literally ate. She chewed up all of my plastic cooking utensils, big plastic spoons and all that. She ate my carpet. She peed everywhere every time we left. She would go to the bathroom in the house. If we were home, she would let us know she had to go up. But if we were gone, she would just pee everywhere. Separation anxiety type of thing. She started chewing on my wall. That was the end of it for me. But this girl called me. And after 9 months, I called me out of the blue and was like, well, I want to come visit my dog. I was calling to see how she is. I'm like, 9 months later, you called to see how your dog is? And I told her that we had to go to my daughter's birthday party and that she could give me a call the next day. Well, when we were leaving, we were delayed a little bit. When we were leaving, she actually passed us in a car headed towards our house. And John spotted her, and I turned the truck around, and we went back, and sure enough, that car was in the driveway, and she was trying to get in my window. So I went in the front door, John went in the back door, and he slapped my gun into my hand as we went through, and I went back out the door with my hand, and her boyfriend took out my driveway sideways. So it did come in handy. It was worth the money I had paid for it. That alone was worth it. I ended up giving the dog the Great Dane Rescue because she didn't deserve that dog. And I definitely didn't want the dog to go through any kind of treatment by her. So her name was Lucky, and she was a white Great Dane with guppy spots. And she was beautiful, and she had the greatest soul on the planet. The dog was so loving, but she was just destructive. I couldn't do it. Not with my Great Dane and 2 other dogs in the house. So I had to turn her over to Great Dane Rescue, and hopefully they got her at home. So at least my life hasn't been boring, right? But yeah, I'm gonna keep this open for the next half an hour or so. When Larry goes live, I'll shut it down. It was just kind of a thing for anybody that's awake and wandering about and got nothing to do and been like, hey, let's go chat. And this is the first time that I've ever done a live by myself. How about that? Well, my bear has done a live by herself. Arr. I'm meaty. And I do appreciate all you guys coming in to hang out with me. That's awesome. I love you guys. Beagle Jack Russell, damn, howly and jumpy. Jack Russells are born with springs in their feet. They really are. Oh, Iris, thank you. I will, Jen. I will. Oh, thank you, Squashy. It's easy when I have people to interact with. Now, if the chat wasn't moving, if nobody was making any comments, there was nothing for me to comment on, this would suck. But luckily, I have all of you guys, and it's worked out rather well. Oh, I love you too, Gigi. Thank you. You're so sweet. Matter of fact, just for that, I love you, TG. God, my camera looks horrible when it's just me and I'm huge. Ugh. I need to get a webcam. Yeah, it's when the pictures are smaller, they're not as pixelated. But this is just my laptop camera, and it apparently sucks. So, I think my voice will be a little clearer with a webcam mic or something too. I mean, I don't have room where I am right now to do all the external mics and booms and fancy stuff, but thank you, Alex. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I think I put Kevin to sleep, which is good. Kevin needs to sleep. Yeah, laptop cameras, I mean, they're functional, but, you know, this one is not the best. Oh, Squashy. Well, the big fluff man was in there. He popped in and said hey and insulted Wendy a lot. And no, TG, I am not. Nice try. Does my name say Victoria? No, it does not. It says Cody. That was a good effort, though. That was good. Kudos to you, girl, making an effort to do that to me. TG is naughty. Yeah, see, I've listened to my lives, and I've listened to other lives that I've been on, and I'm like, why do I sound like that? And it's because of the mic. It's muffling my voice a little bit and causing a bit of an echo, so it doesn't actually sound like, yeah, you're an angel. I'm a 102-pound blonde, TG. This is just a disguise. I'm on magazine covers all the time. You see me? Yeah, that halo was a little tilted. I think one of your horns is going a little bit longer than the other. Silly girl. So, I don't know. When I start doing videos of me doing the soldering, hopefully, well, I've got that stimulus. I know the people in other countries don't get that, but hopefully Americans will have gotten that stimulus and I'll have a little bit of money to play with. Not a lot because financial situations. And world's sexiest woman, Cody. Yeah, right. That's me. All day long. That's me. How do you know what you look like to others online? You watch yourself on video? I don't care what I look like to others online. I mean, I know how I sound because I've listened to the videos and I'm like, why does the sound that I'm hearing not sound like what I hear when I talk? You know, so it sounds different. And I mean, that could just be my ears. It could be my perception. I don't know. I could actually sound like this. I mean, I do have a deeper voice now. My vocal cords and voice box got damaged when I had laryngitis multiple times in a row. Like I got it twice in a row. And I had walking pneumonia, which also did some damage. Because my voice didn't used to be this deep. I sound like a guy now. Unless I do this, and then I don't. But you can see yourself on camera. Like when I do this, I see myself. When I'll do it again. See, when I see myself on camera, so I can move and move. The only thing you have to watch out for is some cameras, the good cameras, you can move quickly, but like if I move slowly, you can see everything kind of in detail, but if I move fast, everything gets blurry. So if you're doing an auction and presenting items, you have to move a little slower if you don't have, the top of the line type of camera. Oh, thank you, TG. TG needs glasses. Look, Larry going live in 30 minutes. Rise and shine, it's Larry time. That was so cute. I loved it when they came up with that one. Much better than pre-show. Because it makes it sound like, his show's not important. It's just something to waste time in, and it's not. Larry's shows are good. So, but yeah, you can see yourself on camera. So you can adjust, because the more people that are on, like if I have 3 people on, it squishes everybody unless you change the picture format, and that's when you run into problems with your centering. Yeah. I don't know, Jen, because it's, 6 o'clock in the morning where I am. Maybe that's, it's early morning. Maybe that's why you're tired. Every once in a while, your body has to catch up. Yeah, TD, it's Larry time. My sleep patterns are weird now. I've learned to, when I get to the point where I'm tired, Evan, you're back. Did you sleep? You can be naked, Kevin. It's okay. And I learned because I tried staying awake like all day and then going to sleep at like 10, 11 o'clock thinking I'll sleep until morning. No, I wake up in an hour or two anyway. So I learned that when my system starts getting tired, I lay down and I take a nap. Doesn't matter what time it is, I lay down and go to sleep. And I only usually sleep for about 2 hours. Well, 1 hour is better than nothing, right, Kevin? So every once in a while, I'll have a day where I just cannot stay awake. I'll wake up and I'll be awake for like a half an hour, and I'm like, nope, and I lay back down and I'm asleep for another couple of hours because my body just it usually happens every couple to 3 weeks. I'll crash hard. I just can't stay awake. I will just wake up for a short amount of time, and my brain is like new. Well, it depends on how cold it is in your house. I mean, Kevin's not outside, Kevin has a gorgeous dog. How's your dog, Kevin? I don't know why I can't remember his name, but his dog is absolutely beautiful. Oh, Kevin, that sucks. I can definitely feel you on broken sleep and only, short bouts at a time. It wears on you. It makes you cranky. Yes, I can nap whenever I want. Hudson, that's it, Hudson. That's awesome. I'm glad he's doing well. I actually subscribe to Boondocking with Boomer. He's Canadian, and he has a Great Dane named Boomer. That's the Great Dane's name. The channel owner's name is Lance, but the dog's name is Boomer. And I talked to him, and I was like, "Where's Boomer? I want to see Boomer." And he brought him on. He's absolutely beautiful. He's a fawn Great Dane, and he's like 130 pounds. He's massive, and I love Great Danes. And he was just beautiful. I'm like, oh, Great Dane. I wanted to cuddle with him. And yes, I subscribe just for the dog. Lance is funny. He's a nice guy, and his shows, he goes lives, does lives and stuff. He's a little new to it, but it's all a learning process. Actually, Victoria and Larry were on there last night, and on his panel, and yeah, he's a very nice guy. And all the RVers and boondockers they're very nice. They're so sweet. So it's a good crowd. They got invaded resellers last night. Really, Iris? See, my room tends to heat up a lot faster than the rest of the house because where the thermostat is out in one half of the house that is open. It's like the living room and the kitchen is like all one room. And it takes up one half of the house. And my room is enclosed, so with the heater continuously running, my room does tend to heat up fast. But right now we have the thermostat set at 67, and during the day we shut it off because, well, the toxic twins that were living here jacked our electric bill up so high that we're still going to have to pay a bit on that this coming month. So we're trying to keep the bill down as low as we can. Luckily, we're getting somewhat better days, so we can do that. But hell, half the time I'm not always dressed either. I put a shirt on for shows though because nobody wants to see that, and I'd probably get kicked off of YouTube. But and I get dressed when I leave the room. Usually I have the hospital. The last time I was at the hospital, the last foot surgery I had at the hospital, I asked them if I could keep the Johnnies. I was, the hospital broke things that they put on you, because they were like a size 10X. The things wrap around me twice. And the nurse was like, "Oh, I got you, girl." And she left. She came back with like 5 of them and stuck them in my backpack for me. So usually when I'm sitting on my bed, because that's basically where I always am, I have those on. So my son isn't horrified if he just walks in my room. But I cut off all the ties on them because the cats were jumping on me to chase them. So I cut the ties off them. So I can't wear those on alive because they tend to open on their own. So yeah, I always put a shirt on just for you guys. I get dressed. Aren't you happy? Feel privileged. Wow, Iris. Iris, I almost had a heart attack last month when I went to check the bill. It was $304. And normally our bill runs about 150 because we have electric everything. Heat and cooking and hot water, all that is electric. And normally in the winter our bill is about $150 and it was $300. I was like, oh, heart attack. Yeah, I was not happy. TG, no. Yeah, and they paid none of it. They didn't pay anything on it. My son had told them if they didn't have the rent, that they'd go. On the 3rd, they started packing. And after he beat the shit out of her and gave her a bloody lip and black eye, she left. Finally got out of the house because he was not letting her out of the house. She finally got out of the house, and she came back with her mother, who then helped her pack up some of her stuff. And then he called his mommy, who came and helped him pack up. Well, his mommy sat in the car. Then she came in and asked if we'd hold his stuff for a week. My son told her, "We're not a storage facility. He's got 24 hours to get his crap out of here." I love my kid. So, but we have about a week of them on the next reading. So our bill will be kind of like probably about an extra $50, aside from what it would normally be. So still dealing with that fallout financially, which sucks. Yeah. My son likes it cooler anyway. My son is the kind of person that, it's 30 degrees out and he's out there in shorts and a muscle shirt outside, he likes it cold. Yeah. Well, this house isn't exact. I mean, it's got the double pane insulated windows, which is fine, but the doors they have gaps, so it's not as bad as the other place we were at, but it's still not conducive to really saving too much money. But they were running a space heater in their room continuously because they blocked the vents with all that crap. And then they were cold. So they got a space heater, and it was an older space heater, and wasn't energy saving, and they had it on 24/7. So they were costing us about $50 a week just for the space heater. And my son found out that when they did laundry, they would run the laundry twice and then run it through the dryer for multiple times. So, and they were doing it on like heavy wash with, yeah, they were. That's why our water bill and our light bill was freaking inconsiderate people, man. And then they gave us $600 altogether for the 3 months they were. So they basically lived for $200 a month. I'm like, you little bastards. So yeah, had enough of that. Their toxicity had to go. And he started doing heavier drugs. They were just smoking pot, but I'm not sure what she was doing, but I know he was putting some horse in there, and I don't want that shit because that pulls people to your house that you don't want. So, no. Yep, Iris. Well, I saw where they had the space heater, and that wasn't the problem. It was the fact that whenever Jason got mad, he would throw temper tantrums like a 2-year-old, and he'd throw stuff, which is how our window got broken. and why the $70 cat tree that's in there is now not too stable because he kept throwing Jill into it. Yeah, he was very abusive. He was very abusive. He was very racist. Every time I went in that room, I felt like I was walking into a Klan meeting because there were just Confederate flags everywhere, hanging on the walls and all that. That in his mouth, you know. I couldn't unblock it, Iris. Their bed was over one, and they just had all kinds of stuff over the other. There was no way for me to unblock it. And I was in a wheelchair, so I wish I could live for $200 a month too. With just me and my son splitting, it'll be about between $400 and $420 a month. And I only get $770, so that's taking a big chunk out of me. That's why we agreed to the roommates in the first place, but they didn't. Yeah, their $200 a month was all they paid total for rent and utilities. That's all. If we divide it up, I mean, he did pay $400 the first month, which was half because my son was out of work because Jason caused him to lose his job. So Jason paid half of the rent and utilities, and then the next month, he handed my son $200 and said that's all he could give him because he had to pay his weed dealer $500. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? So yeah. And then this month they didn't have anything, so out they went. So yeah, it's rough these days. What I feel bad for is the people in Texas because you know they're not on a federally regulated grill. They're grill. This grilling. I don't know. There was one guy that got like a $16,000 electric bill because of all they can bump their power bills, usage bills without any regulations, I guess, and people are getting billed thousands and thousands of dollars during a situation that people are freezing to death and can't, live in their homes. And yeah, I'm like, what? So it cancels out me ever wanting to live in Texas again. I was not aware that they could do that, but they said that Texas in the past 2 months has made more money profit in their electric companies have made more money profit than they would have for the entire year because there's a need and they bumped their prices up to it so high. I'm like, there's a lot of people going to be going solar in Texas. It's like, what in the hell? That's crazy. I mean, here they are dealing with all of this trauma from all the snow they're not used to and everything breaking down. And I mean, there's pictures of toilets that are frozen over and icicles dripping off chandeliers and people can't. And then they're going to nail them financially too? What the hell? There's no humanity anymore. People treat people like crap these days. It's all about money. It's all about the dollar. It's very sad. It's pretty bad when you have to go to the bank and apply for a loan so you can pay your damn electric bill. It's crazy. But hopefully something will be done about that. I don't know what can be done about that. Hopefully something will happen that. Yeah, the bank would definitely turn me down, Iris. I have horrible credit and no equity at all. I don't even have a vehicle anymore. Yeah, squashy. The heat situation and food is not good there. I mean, there are so many people that are hurting right there in Texas right now, and I mean, there are a lot of fundraising things going on for them. I know a lot of the talk shows on their websites have fundraisers that you can donate to. I can't. I just don't have the money. I mean, I screwed up, and I don't even have the money for my meds now. I won't have that money until the 3rd. So actually, I'm gonna have to ask my mom if she can lend me the money and pick them up, which I am not happy about having to do. But I screwed up my money. I had enough for it, and I asked my neighbor if he'd go pick me up cigarettes. I have to write down what I want and my PIN number because I had to use my card, which my neighbor is very trustworthy. I trust him with my PIN number. I also change my PIN number often, and I gave him the wrong piece of paper because I have different ones, and I was in a rush because usually I have to wait 45 minutes to him to get over here. And this time I was like, when are you leaving? He's like, now. And I'm like, crap. So I had to rush and get in the wheelchair and get out there. I grabbed the wrong piece of paper. Instead of the paper that said 4 packs of cigarettes, I grabbed the one that said a carton. So instead of $17, which is what I had available, I ended up spending $40. So I took out a chunk of the money that I needed for my meds. Yeah. I'd kick myself about that, but I'd fall over because I only have one leg. Can't sell anything, Iris. I can't ship it. If I had a printer, then I probably could. But I don't have a printer, so I can't get a pickup. And I have absolutely no way to get to the post office or get packages to the post office. So I can't sell anything yet. I'm still getting my ducks in a row for selling. Right now I'm just concentrating on getting my ducks in a row for making things. Because I just started getting back into the swing of soldering because I learned when I was in high school. So it takes a little bit of practice to, be able to do it again. And thanks, Squashy. And then I need a printer and I need a scale. Because of course you have to put the weight in for your package. And then I'll be able to do pirate ship or whatever ship and have it picked up at my door. Rain, yeah, everybody's too far away. It's okay. I appreciate the thought. The thought is very appreciated. So, but right now I'm concentrating on trying to get that room done because my son has to help me, and he is a self-admitted lazy person. So I basically have to go over when he's not gaming, but he's awake, and be like, okay, let's do this, and get him motivated. He works better at PS Company and somebody to talk to. So, because we still have their broken dresser to get out of there, and some random things that are in there, and scale that goes up to 15 pounds from Walmart. Had to buy that sucker twice because the first time a neighbor thought she needed it more than me. Well done. And a printer I got at Sam's Club, yeah. Yeah, I can use a regular printer. Then I, get because I can use a regular printer and buy printer paper. I'm not going to be doing a ton of shipping. My items take a while to make, so, only $100. That's a huge amount of money for me. But yeah, I also need a gem tester. That's a huge investment too. That's $230 because I want the Presidium too. But I have a lot of gemstones that are made for prong settings. You can do them cabochon too, but they're the kind you would usually see in a prong setting. And I want to be able to test them because I want to be able to put exactly what they are. I don't want to be like, well, this bluestone, because the difference between a bluestone and a sapphire is huge price-wise. You know what I mean? So I don't want to undersell myself either. You know what I mean? And clear stones I can tell because they could be a variety of things. Black stones, same thing. It's nice to be able to know what you're selling and making things with. I'm a stickler for accuracy. So, yeah, sizable investment. Well, I figured the gem tester, the printer, all of that, if I do end up making enough money that I have to pay taxes on that, they can be tax write-offs because they're for my business, Yeah, I need to invest in a better phone. I also want to change my provider. I want to go with Mint Mobile. which will in the long run save me money. Right now I pay $46 a month for my phone, and with Mint Mobile, I mean, you have to pay 3 months at a time, but I can do a $20 plan, and that's plenty for me. And so $20 a month is a hell of a lot better than 46, right? So I want to switch, but I need a phone that's compatible with Mint Mobile. I need an unlocked phone, and I could get my phone unlocked. My phone is compatible with Mint Mobile, but my phone is 4 or 5 years old, and I need a better phone. Yeah. So, and getting my phone unlocked, I have to talk to customer service, and I can't understand them, and I don't have any of my numbers. Like, you know how you have, like, all the numbers when you get service and you get your phone at the service provider and whatever, you get this printout with all this stuff you need when you call customer service. I don't have any of that. I don't know what any of it is. So, gold rewards, yeah. I have Metro PCS right now, which got bought by T-Mobile. It's my voicemail hasn't worked in like 3 years, and you know. Well, mine hasn't been working as well as it should. The phone I had before that, I had for 5 years. I mean, I can't just. I'm not one of those people that, oh, a new phone came out, I need to buy that. I can't do that. I can't afford the iPhones or, Galaxies or any of that. I mean, Godson at 3 years old had a Galaxy Samsung S5. John's uncle, they changed out the phones, and he's like, oh, well, I'll send it to him because Talon broke his phone that he was using. And he sent it to him with this, like, super sturdy case on it. You could drop this thing off a skyscraper and it'd probably be fine. And so, yeah, the 3-year-old had a much better phone than I did. It was hysterical. And he knew how to use it instantly. I was like, oh, my God. Yeah. I don't want anything absolutely fancy. I just want something with a really good camera on it. Because I do have to take pictures of my jewelry and stuff, and things like that. And people want me to do video. When I get back in the swing of things, they want me to do video of me soldering, making my jewelry and stuff. Kind of like Sandy does, but not really at the epic level of Sandy. And I can do that. So this is things that part of my stimulus will be invested in. So that phone and the gem tester, and I mean, depending, I would see that I wanted to get a Dymo printer because they're small, so they don't take up as much space. I do have, I'll have 2 tables. Well, I'll have a table and a desk in that room, and there's a coffee table. So I do have plenty of this to put things on to be able to have like a regular size printer. But the Dymo printer just seems more compact, and you don't have to buy ink for it, I don't think. And if you do, you don't have to buy it that often. It lasts forever. And the labels are really cheap. They're really inexpensive. So cost-wise, over time, would be better. But if I have to get, because I know resellers that have printers that work. So I could probably get a printer from one of them. It's just the shipping cost that would probably kick my ass. So I'd have to. Yeah, see, Iris, I don't know if I will or not. That's the whole thing. Is sold anything yet? Nobody's seen what I made. Well, a few people have seen things that I've made. They're on my Facebook, in my albums, but I don't know how popular it'll be. So I'll probably just start off with a regular printer. I can take the damn labels, and I don't have a problem with that. I just need to be able to print labels here so that I can have it picked up at my house. Because unfortunately, when I lost my leg, I didn't grow wings, so I cannot get to the post op. That would have been cool, though. I'd totally rock a pair of wings. But I do want the gem tester to be able to identify. I mean, Stash 51 sent me a bunch of gemstones for my birthday. He was like, oh, I got these stones hanging around. I'm not using them. Do you want them? I'm like, I never turn down rocks. Ever. So I wasn't expecting what he sent me. I was actually expecting like tumbled stones or cabochons or, you know, even stone chips or something. And he sent me were gemstones. They were finished faceted gemstones, and there's a lot of them in there. And he told me all of them are real. So by visual identification, I have some really nice stones in there, but I have to be able to clarify and be able to say absolutely that there's a ruby or a sapphire or amethyst or peridot or citrine. You know what I mean? I had to be able to say that they were gem test. That I used a gem tester, and that's what they are. Because I can't say that that's what they are if they're not. I don't want to be that person, you know. So yeah, I can't wait to work with all the stuff people have sent me. I'm like, yeah, stop. Willow sent me a whole bunch of beads and an entire Ziploc bag full of cabochons, so that was really awesome. I've got all kinds of really funky jaspers and some tiger's eye, and then Linda sent stuff from Jim Kelly, and there's a whole bunch of really beautiful, gorgeous, high quality bumblebee jasper cabochons in there that I can't wait to work with. So yeah, a lot of my friends do wire wrapping. I can't do it because of my hands. Trying to manipulate wire right like that, it just isn't happening because my hands hurt so bad. I did get the ones from Lenny that Fluffy bought me for my birthday. I did get those, and because Will and I try to visually identify a lot of them, but it's not an absolute. When it's in the finished, what they call completed, where it's a gemstone prong setting, faceted, and all that, it's very difficult to do an absolute confirmation of what they are. So I need the gem tester for those too. But yeah, I did get those, and they're gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. I never did get the ones that he bought from Conky that he was like, Cody, you know, do you want this? Because he was supposed to send me like an apatite and something else. I thought he was going to put those in with these, but he didn't. Probably just misplaced them. I forgot about it. It was a long time ago. Just fine. It hit my head the other day. I was like, hey, wait a minute. I never got those rocks from Lenny, but it's all right. Yeah, unless it's really soft wire. Even that, when my hands act up, I can't even pat my cat. It feels like I'm touching a wire brush. Yeah. Nerve issues from peripheral neuropathy on my hands is bad. Stuffed dog barks at screen. You okay, Iris? I don't understand that one. Oh, Larry's going to be kicking on in about a minute, so. I am going to start shutting this down so we can pop over to Larry's if you guys want to go over there. It's okay. That's all right. I was just stretching. I'm like, raw. But, yeah. And I will probably do this again at another time when I'm awake at Dark 30, which is what it's called at Dark 30. John and I used to say that all the time when we woke up and it was still dark out. He'd be like, what time is it? And I'm like, freaking Dark 30, go back to bed. But I will talk to you guys. I will talk to all you guys in a little bit. And if you don't go over there, then I hope you have a good day. Don't have any complications to your day. And Kevin, if you're still listening, give your dog a hug for me. I love dogs. So I will see you guys in a little bit. I know TG will be there because TG is everywhere. Scarlet makes the rounds, man. I love you guys. And thank you for showing up to talk with me. Have a good one.